Hello again, Gary Stearman coming to you from a beautiful hotel in North Jerusalem where we're staying during our tour with Lipkin Tours in Israel. We've seen some phenomenal sights. With me once again, Avi Lipkin, and by the way, your son Aaron can set up a marvelous tour, I must say. It's been great. We've seen some wonderful things. I think we're going to Masada tomorrow, is that correct?
Masada, the Dead Sea, the Qumran caves where the scrolls were discovered.
And it's going to be great. But what I'd really like to do is talk to Avi about the recent Israeli elections. And of course, this is the second report from Jerusalem concerning that blowout election. The media didn't want to call it a runaway blowout election. They sort of soft-pedaled it. Talk to us a little bit about media treatment of this recent Israeli election.
Well, indeed, I've been living in Israel for 46 years, and so I have a lot of experience with Israeli elections. The media is controlled by the Labor Party, by the left. The media is solidly anti-right-wing, anti-religious, and every election we hear the media saying that the right wing is losing, the polls report that the left is winning, and every time they're wrong.
And you know what? Before we came to Israel, reading the United States papers, watching television over there, they were saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah, they were saying that people were fed up with Netanyahu.
Right.
People were just unhappy, and it was for sure there was going to be a new leadership, and it was all nonsense. Because Israel today is experiencing its greatest prosperity ever. And, for example, more than half the Israeli population travels abroad every year.
Didn't know that.
Israelis are big travelers. There is a housing shortage because there's so much money available to buy houses that it's driving the prices up. So Israel, I won't call it Hong Kong or Singapore, you know, where you have to really build upwards and real estate is very expensive. But Israel is a young country. You have a lot of parents who are helping their children to buy apartments. As you know, interest rates all around the world are very low, and so it's very easy to get a mortgage, cheap prices. Everybody's buying apartments. People who even own one apartment, now they're buying 2 apartments so they can rent it out and make money. So Israel is experiencing a prosperity. When you have prosperity, there are shortages of apartments. There are stock market prices go up, which is happening, and so people are complaining, and you have poverty. But the endemic poverty of Israel is basically among the ultra-Orthodox Jewish quarters where the men don't work but study in the yeshiva, and the wife has to work and bear the children, and this condemns the next generations to poverty. There's nothing the Israeli government can do to raise their poverty level to a normal level. Then you have the Arab sector, they work, they pay taxes, but a lot of the Arabs also are in poverty, also because of too many children. And there's nothing that any Israeli government really can do to improve the question of the poverty line in the country. Israel has made absolutely the most remarkable strides, the most remarkable progress. The trains are being laid out all over the country. We have a train service. We have wonderful highways being built all the time. Wonderful infrastructure going up everywhere. But infrastructure is like a tree. You plant a tree, and it takes quite a few years before you can enjoy the fruit. So the Labor Party and the media were trying to paint a picture of how bad things were, and the Israelis are happy.
And they knew that if they had a conservative back in power for a short time, that situation you're talking about would continue. I was amazed driving around Israel today, and of course not having been here for many, many, many years, at the modern improvements that are being made in this country, and at the prosperity of, for example, truck gardening, vegetables and fruits, tropical fruits, every kind of, it's, let's face it folks, it is the California of the Middle East, and it's just booming. It's amazing to me.
Another thing I wanted to share indeed is the demographic trend of Israel. If the viewers of this program go to the Knesset website and look up the last 19 elections, you will see that the Labor Party is shrinking, the left-wing votes are shrinking. Herzog, without the Arab Party, could only get about maybe 40 members of Knesset out of 120. With the Arab list, which is not really cooperating with anyone, another 14 members of Knesset, they would be at 54. And Netanyahu has 66, 67. So Herzog could not put together any kind of coalition. And I promise you, next elections, it won't be 40. The Israeli left will have 38, 39, and the next elections will be 35, 36. The people who are bearing children are the religious families and the nationalist families. The left-wing population is shrinking. Don't forget, in 1949, in the early 50s, Labour Party was basically the biggest party and had hegemony over the whole government. And the Labour Party is a holdout of the left-wing parties, the foreign ministry, the army, the police. You cannot move ahead in this country if you are right-wing or orthodox, because the pyramid of power still remains in the socialist hands.
Well, Avi, here's what I think. As a student of Bible prophecy, and I know a lot of students of Bible prophecy, we are conservative, politically speaking, because prophecy, essentially, trusting the Lord, operates or mitigates toward a conservative mindset. But in every case where Israel is going to war in the latter days, and we read our Bibles in Zechariah, for example, in Ezekiel, in Psalm 83, which has gotten so much play lately, and other, for example, in Jeremiah, you find time after time after time when latter-day wars are mentioned, Israel is always the victor, time and time again. Israel is strong in the Bible. Well, I want a strong Israel, biblically speaking.
And I've said all along, I'm forming a Judeo-Christian political party to run for the Knesset. And I believe very soon we will be seeing many, many Jews and Christians, when I mean Christians, usually Christian spouses of the Jews, children of the intermarriages. So if you have 7 million Jews outside of Israel, and all of them made Aliyah, which I don't know if all of them make Aliyah, but they would bring with them maybe 2 or 3 million Christian spouses and children. So I think we're looking at a 10 million population growth imminently. And as when you were saying all the battles, Psalm 83 and all these other battles, but God says in the Torah, He says to the Israelites, He says, "You be silent, I will fight your wars for you." And what has been happening indeed is that Israel is like a flower in the middle of a forest fire, and yet God has been shielding Israel pretty much all this time. And we see the Islamic regimes self-destructing, the Arab regimes self-destructing. Half of the Syrian population they're all refugees. They've lost over 300,000 people who were killed by each other. This was not something that the Jews did to them. This was not something that Israel did to them. This was not something that the Christians did to them. This is something that Islam is doing to Islam. And again, this is what I call a criminal psychosis in which the devil, Allah, is killing his own people.
Wow. Well, it's been great talking to Avi Lipkin. We're in North Jerusalem. We are touring Israel, and we'll have more reports yet to come. Avi, may the Lord bless you and your household until we talk again.
And bless those who bless Israel.
Amen. I'm Gary Stearman for Prophecy Watchers from Jerusalem.